Hey everyone, it's Monday, so it is time for my weekly draft video. We're doing some more Eldritch Moon, and I'll be back with you guys when the draft fires. Alright, well, this is a pretty easy first pick. Mirror-Wing Dragon is pretty incredible. It has a small downside and a whole lot of upside, so it's definitely more upside than downside. It's already a 5-mana 4/5. Basically, if your opponent wants to kill it, they have to kill all of their creatures if they're using a spell to kill it anyway. Also, if we have pump spells and things like that, they get copied, but it also is true of our opponent's pump spells. So if they target our Mirror Wing Dragon, they can pump their whole team. So that's the minor downside it has, but it's more upside than downside. I think we have to take it. I don't think anything in this pack comes close to it on power level. I think it would be the first pick in almost any pack, unless that same pack somehow also had like Nahiri's Wrath or something, which I think is an even better card, um, but that can't really. Well, I guess it could happen with the foil. But yeah, Drag Under is good though. Just to talk about some of the other cards in the pack, and Hamlet Captain, Ulvenwald Captive, also pretty good. Those are probably the best cards in the pack, other than our big dragon. So there's another red rare, so that's worth sort of thinking about. But there's also a Sigardian Priest. This is a solid card and all, but Sigardian Priest I think is better. You know, it just happens. And Galvanic Bombardment may even be better than the Priest, and I think it probably is. It's close, though. I think the fact that we already have a red card makes me want to take the Bombardment, but the Priest is real strong. I mean, he's bailed me out of a lot of situations in this format. Shrill Howler is also pretty good. I like Vexing Scuddler. Alchemist Greeting is fine, but it probably goes Galvanic Bombardment, Sigardian Priest, Stromkirk, Occultist in this pack. Although the Shrill Howler, I guess maybe one could argue is better than the Occultist. But I think we take the Bombardment, stay red, stay open since we can. And if we take this card, people are a little less likely to be in red, though they're still getting two good red cards out of this pack. So we will stay red here. Okay, well, red is looking great. We have Incendiary Flow and Galvanic Bombardment, a second one here, and they do get better in multiples. I do think I'm going to take the flow over it, though. The flow can just kill more things. The fact that it can exile stuff isn't irrelevant either. Conduit of Storms is also really good. So there's lots of red to go around here. Clear Shot's also really good. And maybe even better than Incendiary Flow. But we're, again, in a situation where since we're already red, we may as well stick to red. Although I like Clear Shot. I mean, if this card were a lot weaker than Clear Shot, I would probably take it. But it's not. I think it's, slightly weaker than Clear Shot is. Yeah, so I think we take the flow over the bombardment. Yeah, let's do that. So we could end up in a pretty strong blue-red spells deck based on what we're doing so far. Red continues to flow from our right. People to our left are also going into it, I would guess, based on the fact that it's so open. We can't, take all the good red cards. We're going to take another good one here, though, in Smoldering Werewolf. In this pack, there's not really a debate to be had, I don't think. I mean, Mockery of Nature is a solid card, but the Werewolf is better. Spontaneous Mutation, if you build your deck right, can be good, and that's really about it. I mean, Tattered Haunter is a card I like, but not anything I would take this early, especially with a Smoldering Werewolf in the pack. He's just great because he can pretty easily get you a 2-for-1. Kill one thing when he comes into play and then trade for something else, and that's without him even ever transforming. So red's stupid open. It's unfortunate it probably won't be as open in the next pack, but okay. So do we have a reason here to move out of red? I don't think we do. I think we just take the Outcast, who's a perfectly fine 5-drop. The Cultist is a card I like, but nothing else in this pack really screams at me. The Outcast I think is pretty good. So a couple werewolves, a dragon. Sounds like we're playing Magic. So yeah, we've got two good removal spells. More bombardments would be great, but that one we saw is not coming back to us. Unless there's some strange miracle, but I don't see that happening. Okay, well here we can look at moving into some other colors. Leaning towards green because the cap is really good. I also like Desperate Sentry, and I like Falcon Wrath Reaver okay, but I think it's Captive and the Sentry are both better than it is. So I think we'll take the Captive. We're turning into a bit of a werewolf deck, so that's a good thing to keep in mind for pack 3. In the first couple packs, there's not a whole lot of payoffs for being all about the werewolves, but they're around. So we'll go ahead and take the Captive there. Okay, so things have sort of dried up for us now. Wolfkin Bond is okay. I don't mind playing one a lot of the time if I'm in green, but there's cards that are enough better in this pack, namely Midnight Scavengers, that I'd rather take it. Right now, we don't actually have a target for it, but we're going to pick some up. And I think I'd rather have the power level of this card over the Wolfkin Bond, which is fine, but Scavengers I think is just better. So if we end up black, we'll be playing it, of course. So we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, that was a good way to start with that Mirror Wing Dragon. So pump spells are also worth thinking about. They're a little more valuable in our deck than usual because of our Mirror Wing Dragon. So there's a few pump spells here that are red, which is what we are, so that's pretty good. They're both fine. This card is like really good if you're trying to get Delirium, but we're probably not going to be. So Fiendbinder is also pretty good if if we have a deck with a really good curve. That's a great card. It's sort of like a bad Goblin Heel Cutter. But I think we either want the Outburst or the Abandon Reason. I'm thinking I'm going to go with the Outburst. It just, it's harder to get 2 for 1 Dawn. Okay, another Captive is great. Hamlet Captain's pretty good too. We don't have any humans yet, though, since the werewolves in this set are not also humans. So I'm leaning towards just taking another Captive. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. We could take the Dryad, and the fail case is that he's Rancid Rats. That's a pretty good fail case, and the fact that if we get Delirium occasionally, he's a little better, then I'm fine with that. I think I'd rather have that than like a Field Creeper. Crossroads Consecrator. These are all like Laboratory Brute's the best of these. I don't love Lunarch Mantle a whole lot, so I think I'm just going to take the Consecrator. Probably not going to play it. Well, this coming back's kind of interesting. I think I'll take it. I think it's a better, like, if we don't mainboard it, it's a good sideboard card, and I think it's better than Spring Sage Ritual because it comes with a pretty relevant body. Right now, we'll take a Wolfkin Bond. And we'll take a Foil Swamp. Yeah, we don't really need 2 of them, though. But if we end up with enough Werewolf synergies, it also gets a lot better. Yeah, red was really flowing early, and then it sort of dried up, mostly because the people to our other side, after we were taking one good red card, there was plenty of other good red cards to go around, so they were picking them up. And so it's kind of a weird situation where there was just so much good red going around that we're going to have to fight pretty hard for red in this pack, I think. Hopefully in the next pack we don't have to fight quite as much. Wow. Well, that is probably what we're going to take. Murder's good, but we're not black. This guy's just kind of ridiculous if you can really get him going, and he's a werewolf, so on flavor for us. Wouldn't mind getting a Deranged Whelp or an Eternal Scourge. Those are both cards I like a lot. Yeah, the green in this pack's not great, but other cards of note in this pack. Bloodbriar can be great if you get the blue-green deck going right. Murder is the strongest card in this pack, probably even more so than these two. But we're not black, and I don't see us going that way. So I think we just take this. Luckily, this pack doesn't have so many red cards that are really good, although now it's kind of a bad thing because it means we're probably not going to get a good red card to wheel. We'll probably get like a Bloodbriar or something, but we will take Ulrich of the Krallen Horde. Wow. Well, Wharf Infiltrator is really good. Blessed Alliance is really good. But everything in red and green in this pack is not so good. I don't want a Bold Impaler. I don't really want a second Wolfkin Bond. Don't really want Terrarion, although I guess if that Bloodbriar wheels, it's pretty good. I could, I guess, potentially splash Blessed Alliance, but I don't love the idea. There's a Bloodbriar. Like, sadly, Bloodbriar is probably the best pick for us in this pack. That's how ugly this one is. But we've seen some crazy packs, so I guess maybe it evens out. But yeah, the blue card and the white card these are the 2 best cards in this pack. And none of them are for us. We don't really want this equipment. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to take Bloodbriar. I could take a card that is definitely stronger, but it will be hard to splash. But I think I'll just take a card that might make my deck just because it's a 3-mana 2/3. Ooh, Bruna, really? There's been some crazy cards in this draft. Well, here's a way to help us splash, but there's also Brazen Wolves, which is just a good little aggro card. And we don't currently have a good reason to splash. Bruna's great, obviously, but not for our deck. We're not white. Waxing Moon, I'm kind of hoping we'll wheel. It's getting to the point where it'll actually be good in our deck because we have enough werewolves already. But I'm going to take the Brazen Wolves instead. Over Woodland Patrol, I think it's just better. It just attacks so hard for its mana cost. Okay, Emrakul's Evangel is a solid little card that I think is kind of underrated. I mean, it's a 3-mana 3/2 with a bit of upside, basically. You can, make your opponent's removal a lot worse if you keep it in play untapped, things like that. So it's worth thinking about. Survivalists are good if we're going to have Delirium ever. But that doesn't seem super likely. We could take another Outcast, but we're kind of stacked in 5-drops. We have Mirrorwing Dragon and Ulrich, too, who are just better than the Outcast, who's perfectly fine, but he's not as good as they are. I think we probably just take the Evangel, just for the small amount of upside it can give us, and it's a 3-mana 3/2, which isn't bad either, so I think we just go for that. Borrowed Hostility is an okay trick, which I guess maybe we want to think about because we do have Mirrorwing Dragon, but I think I'm just going to take the solid creature instead. Okay, here we can take Woodland Patrol, or we could start taking a Waxing Moon. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 werewolves already. Probably pick up at least a couple more in our next pack. But I think I'm going to take the safer pick here in the Patrol. Just another little aggro creature. Boon of Emrakul is quite good. Another Patrol, or do we want to make Mischief? I think Mischief is fine, but I'm kind of just leaning towards another Patrol. There's been some sweet removal going around, but not in our colors. Like this Boon, someone's going to be happy to get this late. We could look at Terrarion. I don't know that we want to splash. Courageous Outrider is a nice card. Usually if you're in white, a lot of your creatures are already humans. I think I've drafted him a few times, and I've probably only missed with him twice out of probably casting him 10 times. So you usually hit something in addition to getting a reasonable body. But I think we're just going to take the Patrol. It is true that we don't have a ton of removal right now, which I don't love, but Make Mischief isn't the most amazing removal spell anyway, so. Okay, Lashweed Lurker. Okay, well here we can take a trick that we can think, I mean, there's not really anything else here we want. We could take the sideboard card, but I think we're going to take Woodcutter's Grit. It may not make the cut, but it does get a little better when you have Mirrorwing Dragon around. Okay, so now I'd probably take Survivalists. Not sure how likely it is we get Delirium. We don't really want Crop Sigil. I mean, it would help us get Delirium, but we're not in desperate need of it or anything. It's just a 4-mana 4/3 in our deck most of the time, I'm thinking, but that seems fine. And I don't want a second Wolfkin Bond. It's a little clunky. Or a third Wolfkin Bond, for that matter. Now we'll take Make Mischief. Interesting thing you can do, sort of a weird little thing, is like target our own Mirrorwing Dragon with Make Mischief so we get all the Devil tokens. It's kind of a silly little thing you can do. There are definitely going to be board states that come up occasionally where that's what you want to do. But you have to be hoping you're not killing your other creatures too. But we'll take Thirsting Axe here. And another Woodland Patrol, okay. Well, human synergies are starting to look a little better in our deck. These are all humans, as is this. See, what we really want to be getting in this next pack is, what is it called? Howl of the Wolf Pack or whatever, the aura that gives +1/+1 to all wolves and werewolves. We're looking for that in this pack. I guess we have 2 cards with Delirium, so that does make, we're not heavy Delirium, but it does make some cards a little better, and I think we'll take another one here. Might not, we would only play 2 if we could consistently get Delirium, so we'll just have to see. I don't mind the Innkeeper, but I don't think it's going to make the cut in this deck. If you're a Vampire deck, it's actually a pretty playable card, especially if you have Vampire Payoff, just because its effect is actually pretty relevant, and it doesn't have the worst body ever, so. Bloodbriar, I wouldn't you know, wouldn't love to play. We don't exactly have any synergies with it yet. And I'm not in love with Woodcutter's Grit either. I'm not in love with two Survivalists. These are the things that ideally I don't want to have to play. And even the Wolfkin Bond, like at this point, I would hope I don't play. But, you know, it's not bad having your sideboard against opponents who have very little removal or something. Okay, we'll take another Make Mischief. Don't really want to play two of those. Okay, well, there's the land for us that we want. And I never see Pyrehound when I build a lot of blue-red spells decks in this format. It's one of my favorite. I never get Pyrehound. Of course, I see it when my deck's not looking too good for it. So we've got a good Werewolf here, another 5-drop. We have a decent 2-drop who gets better if we pick up some Madness. We have a land that can enable us to splash a little more easily. But this pack on the whole is not great for us. It's probably just the Arsonists. This pack in general is not awesome. I mean, the best card in this pack, like in a vacuum, like, you know, where you're not thinking about synergies your deck has, is probably just Dauntless Cathar. And then Pyrehound, like if we were a blue-red spells deck, that's like the ideal card we want to pick up here, but we're not. So, yeah, it's not a great pack. We'll take the Arsonist. Well, Pack Guardian's good. Can actually help us to get Delirium in a lot of, basically, by allowing us to discard a land, also makes another wolf, all that nonsense. Wouldn't mind picking up some Hinterland Loggers, and of course a second Pyrehound. Cult of the Waxing Moon isn't going to be bad in our deck either, but Pack Guardian is just way better. It's probably the best card in this pack. To the Slaughter's fine, but sacrifice effects in limited aren't nearly as good as they are in constructed. It's just a fine card, not a incredible one or anything. Another Cathar too for somebody. So yeah, we'll take the Pack Guardian. All right, well, here's a Werewolf payoff, which is definitely worth looking at, but there's also a Neglected Heirloom, which might just be a bigger Wolf payoff for this deck. The Kindred's nice, but it is a huge mana sink. Like, yeah, we have some ways of making mana, and that's nice, but it's not really easy to enable. Like, usually when I've played the card, even in a Werewolf deck, I haven't been super thrilled. I mean, a 3-mana 3/2 Trample's fine, and it has a little upside, but I've probably only activated the ability a couple times, and that's just not enough. Reduced to Ashes is also worth looking at, since we're not drowning in removal or anything. But man, I think I want this Heirloom. It's just going to be good with all the werewolves we have, and it's just a good piece of equipment in general, even if you can't transform it. Dead Weight's probably the best card in this pack, but not for us. Okay, well, here's a human payoff. We now have one... Oh, Elric's actually a human when he's not transformed. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 humans. That might be enough to warrant taking it. I don't love Ember Eye Wolf, especially since we don't have any big werewolf payoffs right now. And we might pick some up, but I think I'm going to go for the Provisioner here. Okay, Watcher in the Web isn't bad. Neither is Insolent Neonate. It's better if we had some Madness, and we don't actually, so... Not incredible. We have so many 5s already, though. Watcher is a really strong sideboard card. Like, I kind of would rather have all these 5s main board. But if I just see a few flyers, suddenly Watcher in the Web is a pretty appealing card. Scavenger is not great for us. It's just a wall, basically. So we'll take the Watcher. Maybe we main board it. Maybe we don't. All right, I think I like Skin Invasion enough here to take it. Instead of a second Watcher. Yeah, I'll take it. I will take the Skin Invasion. You know, we have lots of decent-sized creatures who can just eat whatever I put this on, and then, you know, we get a huge creature. So, seems pretty good. I hope we can get one reduce to Ashes in this pack. I'd be pretty happy with that. We have passed one. At least this is sort of pseudo removal. Okay, Uncaged Fury doesn't seem terrible. We don't have that many creatures with Trample, though. But man, with Mirror-Wing Dragon, is that a dream or what? Blood Mad Vampire is pretty good. Better if you have Vampire synergies and Madness synergies, of which we don't really have. Same thing with Stenzia Masquerade. It's actually really strong if we were in the Vampire deck. Kind of leaning towards the Fury, though. We have lots of creatures, and we have a Mirror-Wing Dragon, which makes it even better. Can just steal games with it, too, so We will take that. Here, I guess we just take the good sideboard card and root out. Oh, you know what we have over here that we might consider playing is our big Mockery of Nature. Speaking of sideboard cards. So, like, I'd probably make Mischief if this is our 23, and I'd probably run the Mockery. Probably. Yeah, I think I would. It's just a huge creature that we can power out, you know, fairly early between our Ulvenwald Captives and End Emerge. Pyrehound. Well, we'll take a Game Trail. I mean, makes our mana better if nothing else. Pyrehound's not terrible even in our deck, but it's important to note it says instant or sorcery spells. So Neglected Heirloom and Skin Invasion won't trigger him. We only have like 4 ways to trigger it, so we'll take Game Trail. All right, well, I'll take a Hinterland Logger. We are low on 2s, and it fits our deck. Looks like we're not going to get any big werewolf payoffs. We did get the Heirloom, which is the best thing we could do. I'll take the most playable card out of here. Yeah, you might make the cut since we're low on 2s. And I guess I could side that in. All right. So, I mean, he doesn't even care about werewolves, funnily enough. They finally printed a card that can be a werewolf commander, and he actually doesn't really make it. The only thing he cares about regarding werewolves is he can't have guys fight werewolves. So that's it. But that doesn't matter on my side of the table. So yeah, we have some trimming to do. I think the Dryad's fine. We do have some small chance, thanks to Pack Guardian, of getting Delirium, since we can throw a land in there. And you can get land, instant, sorcery, creature pretty easily. Although our deck has not a lot of instants. It has a couple, though. So it's possible we get Delirium. Stick our Game Trail up there. Got to trim a couple cards, and maybe it's just like the Mockery. We can just have that as more of a sideboard option. What else? I mean, I guess we could probably cut Backwoods Survivalists. We ended up in the end with enough, yeah, we ended up with another human over here too, so yeah, I think we could probably, I mean, he might just have trample most of the time, but he'll occasionally pump something, which is sweet. So I think we can cut the Survivalist. We're just not going to, I mean, like I said, it's nice that this thing has the upside that maybe we get Delirium now and again, very rarely. But the fact that it can trade with anything makes it more, you know, whatever the Death Touch rats for 1 mana are called. My memory for card names is not great this evening, but that it's, you know, you always play that in a black deck, and I think you want to play Gnarlwood Dryad when you can in a green deck. So I think this is the deck. I think we do want to play the Ember-Eye Wolf because we need 2 drops primarily. I don't love the card a whole lot. But what would I play instead? Like, Mulgraf Scavenger's worse. That's our only real true drop. Crossroads Consecrator isn't very good in our deck. I mean, we could cut it and play some higher drop creatures, but I don't think we want to. We do have a nice sideboard, though. Make Mischief is good against certain decks, things like that. So let's sort by color real quick. Yeah, he's going to be, if we can stick him and get him to transform, it's going to be pretty awesome. So 9-8 seems about right to me. Oh, we also have Game Trail, actually, which makes our life slightly easier mana-wise. Yeah, we'll go 8-8. That's perfect. All right, well, this looks like our deck. Werewolves without a whole lot of werewolf synergy, but we got a little. So I'll see you guys in the first match. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.